What is the difference between branding and positioning? A lot of people out there will talk as if it's kind of the same thing. They act like, oh, branding or positioning, they're all the same. They're not all the same. And it's these kinds of distinct details that make all the difference when you are deciding what your positioning is, deciding what your branding is, how successful you end up becoming. You've got to pay attention to the details. So I'm going to share with you the difference between branding and positioning. It's very, very simple. Basically, branding is it's your identity. It's the product identity. If you're the attractive character in your business, it's the identity of the attractive character. In simple terms, a brand is a personality. So the personality of the product, the personality of the service or the company is ultimately, it's determined by the target market, but companies will often identify how they wish to be perceived, how they want people to think of them. And then they take the steps that influence how the audience looks at them. So for instance, two brands that sell the same type of thing, they solve the same problem. Maybe they are a toilet. You've got two toilet brands. One is the low cost distributor of the toilets, and it's very reasonably priced. And then you've got the really high end that has the water shooting out and all the heated seats and all the stuff. So those are two different brands, and the personality is completely different. The second thing about branding is that they claim a certain branding position. So companies will claim a branding image based on their actions. Just like different individual personalities, different people have certain personalities. They're like, okay, so you are shy and you are outgoing. Your brand will identify some of those characteristics and attributes of what your product is, your service, whatever that looks like. And the consistency over time will be reflected through the actual performance. And that's how people will see you. So that is branding. But if that's branding, then how is that different than positioning? Positioning is, there are two pieces to positioning. You are identifying your target market segments. So whatever customer segments you want to be in front of, that you want to attract, that's your positioning. Your positioning involves claiming a position or a reputation in a market or in several markets for your product. So they definitely tie into each other, but they are not the same thing. So the first step in positioning is specifically identifying the markets that you want to serve. Usually there's a dream audience. If you haven't figured out your dream audience, that should be one of the first steps that you figure out. Are you going to be within certain geographic areas? Are you going to segment based on certain groups on social media? Where are your audience found? The more clearly you identify your target market segments and the more clearly you can identify them, the more specifically the marketers can design programs to reach them and to position you so that you are what they are attracted to. The second piece of positioning is it differentiates you from your competition. So positioning involves identifying ways that your company's offerings are different from someone else's. Why would they choose you over someone else? Why does someone else choose your competition instead of you? So it has to do with pricing. It has to do with your offerings, your distribution channels, your promotional offers, all the things that you put into what makes people look at you and think, okay, I'm the market that you're looking for. You are the one that I'm interested in. So once a desired position has been established, what companies will do is they'll work to establish and strengthen the brand identity that's designed to make sure that they keep that position in the marketplace and with that audience. So that's the difference. They definitely intertwine. You definitely need to pay attention to both. So when people tell you that they're the exact same thing, realize that they're actually missing some of the pieces on the outer edge because they definitely overlap, but there are pieces on the edge that still need to be taken into account. Keep that in mind as you decide what your branding and what your positioning is going to be and what that you want that to look like in your business.